Hi everybody. In the last class we discussed chlorophyceae. So chlorophyceae are the commonly called as green algae. They are found in fresh water as well as marine water, and they could be found in soil and moist soil and in the water pipes. So wherever the light is possible to expose that water can or water pipes, where we can find the green algae. So wherever the standing water is there also on the stones we can find the green algae. So green algae ranged from unicellular to multicellular. So unicellular algae, we studied the example of Chlamydomonas. So where Chlamydomonas as a pear-shaped structure which consisting of two flagella, and they have cup-like chloroplast. So in the same way we studied the different types of chloroplast like discoid chloroplast, ribbon-shaped chloroplast, then reticulate type of chloroplast, cup-shaped chloroplast we studied. So by taking an example like a Chlamydomonas, we studied the detailed structure of the Chlamydomonas, how it look like. So that is example for unicellular chlorophyceae. So let us discuss one more type of chlorophyceae members, such as one filamentous chlorophyceae and colonial chlorophyceae. Okay. So let us start the chlorophyceae, that is looks filamentous in nature. Okay, so filamentous chlorophyceae. Filamentous chlorophyceae. Example is Spirogyra. So it is commonly called as, it is a Spirogyra, is found in fresh water. So it is usually ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಚಿ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಪಾಚಿನಲ್ಲಿ usually Spirogyra ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. So the commonly called as pond silk or pond scum. Pond scum. Usually fresh water, standing water ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. So it is filamentous algae. It is very filamentous, very thin thread-like structure. So as we discussed like fungi ನಂಗೆ thin thread-like structure ಇತ್ತು, ಇಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಹಾಗೆ thin thread-like structure ಇರುತ್ತೆ. That is a vegetative structure. So we write how it look like, and the cell wall is made up of cellulose itself, inner cellulose and outer pectose wall they have. Okay. So outer pectin and inner cellulose wall, here also it is present like that. Then they have cell wall, and it is divided into compartments. So ಈ ಥರ ಕಂಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. So it look like a filamentous like this. Actually on the water or on the stone in the fresh water, it look like very thin thread like structure. They join together like this, and it is very thin structure. Okay, so like this, many thin structures, they form the structure, and it in the running water, it look like the water, along with the water, it shows the fluctuations like this. Okay, so that is very thin thread like structure. And here the interesting part in Spirogyra, the name derived from the shape of the chloroplast. So it is a Spirogyra. You know the meaning of a spiral. So spiral ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಥರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Okay, so it is spring like ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಕ್ಲೋರೋಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ನೋಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಸ್ಪ್ರಿಂಗ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ರೀಸನ್ ವೈ ದ ನೇಮ್ ಸ್ಪೈರೋಗೈರಾ. ನೋಡೋಕೊಂಥರ ಸಿಲ್ಕ್ ಥ್ರೆಡ್ ಥರ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅದನ್ನು ಪಾಂಡ್ ಸಿಲ್ಕ್ ಅಥವಾ ಪಾಂಡ್ ಸ್ಕಮ್ ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ದ ಕ್ಲೋರೋಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಕೈಂಡ್, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ribbon shaped. So it is a ribbon shaped chloroplast, and these ribbons are aligned like this, and they look like spiral. The spiral shape allirutte. So this is the ribbon shaped chloroplast. A ribbon or spiral chloroplast. Okay, so within this chloroplast, some structures, as we discussed in the chlamydomonas, some protein storing starch sheath containing structures were there. So those structures are called as pyrenoids. They are present within the chloroplast. So here and there chloroplasts are present. Sorry. Pyrenoids are present. This pyrenoid structure is similar to the chlamydomonas, and this is and along with that it also has nucleus. Nucleus is there, and it connected through cytoplasmic strand. So the cytoplasmic strands are like this. Okay, so this is nucleus. This is cell wall. Cytoplasmic strand. Okay, so the length of this filament, the length of this filament is vary. So it maybe measures about up to 10 centimeters. Sometimes it grows 10 centimeter, very thin thread like structure can grow. So it may be 5 to 10 centimeter range, and very thin filamentous like a structure it is. So this is why they are called as a multicellular. This is one cell, second cell, third cell, like this. Many cells were present. If you observe under the microscope, it look like this, or to the normal eye, it look like a very thin thread-like structure. Very thin thread-like structure. Okay, and they're consisting of chlorophyll A and chlorophyll C. That's why they belongs to chlorophyll. Okay, so. And this chlorophyll member. So this this Spirogyra during reproduction. So this Spirogyra reproduce by vegetative method. by vegetative method by a common mode of reproduction, that is fragmentation. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನು ಫ್ರಾಗ್ಮೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಫ್ರಾಗ್ಮೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಸೆಲ್ ಕಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸಪೋಸ್ ದ ಸೆಲ್ ಇಸ್ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿಸ್, and this individual cell can grow into individual filament again with septa like this. So this single one after fragmented can grows into individual one. Okay, that is vegetative reproduction by fragmentation. And in sexual reproduction, and in sexual reproduction, it reproduces by isogamous method, isogamous non-flagellated. So isogamous and non-flagellated. Okay, so that process is quite simple. So how it produces the gametes? Okay, so during sexual reproduction, so within this compartment, so whatever the content which is present inside, that is cytoplasm, and it is an example for a homothallic also, homothallic as well as heterothallic. Okay, I am not showing the chloroplast, just I am showing the nucleus here. So during sexual reproduction, there will be a formation of outgrowth here. Illondu outgrowth form agata like this. This outgrowth reaches this like this. Itara reach agata. When it reaches and dissolved the cell wall like this, the content of the cell, illiro content ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ complete including nucleus. Okay, ಈ ಥರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಈ ಥರ ಕ್ಲಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಿಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ದೆನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಈ ಥರ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್. ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನು ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ ಥರ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಹಿಯರ್ ದ ಹೋಲ್ ಕಂಟೆಂಟ್ ಈ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮೈಗ್ರೇಟೆಡ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಫ್ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಹಿಯರ್. ಈ ರೀತಿ ಮೈಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಫ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ಸ್, ಸೊ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ಡ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಆಸ್ ಅ ಗ್ಯಾಮೆಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೇರ್ ವಾಸ್ ನೋ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಎನಿ ಫ್ಲಾಜೆಲ್ಲಾ ದೇರ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿಸ್ sexual reproduction, isogamous non-flagellated example. Okay. So ಇದನ್ನ lateral conjugation ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. lateral conjugation ಆಗುತ್ತೆ where gamete like structures are produced even though they are non-flagellated. Okay, so this is how Spirogyra reproduce. Okay, so next come to the one more type of chlorophyceae, that is colonial type. So colonial type, so example for colonial algae, colonial chlorophyceae member, that is valvax. So it is called as valvax. So it is commonly called as ರೋಲಿಂಗ್ ಆಲ್ಗೆ. ಇದನ್ನು ರೋಲಿಂಗ್ ಆಲ್ಗೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಇದು ಈ ರೀತಿ ಸರ್ಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರು, ಗ್ಲೋಬ್ಯುಲರ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ದೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಮಿನಿ ಫ್ಲಾಜೆಲ್ಲಾ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿಸ್. ಇದು ತುಂಬ ಫ್ಲಾಜೆಲ್ಲಾ ಥರ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ವಿತ್ ದ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಫ್ಲಾಜೆಲ್ಲಾ ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ರೋಲ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿಸ್. ಮೂಮೆಂಟ್ ಈ ಥರ ರೋಲ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿ ವಾಟ್ರಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ಸ್ ವೈ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ರೋಲಿಂಗ್ ಆಲ್ಗೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಲೆಟ್ me draw the structure of the valvax, how it look like. So it is almost spherical in nature. Okay, so it has many chlamydomonas like cells. ಈ ಥರ cells ಇರುತ್ತೆ, many cells they are joined together. ಸೊ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿಸ್, ಇದು ಒಂದು ಸೈಡ್ ಆಯಿತು. ಇದೇ ಥರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆಯೂ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಔಟ್ ಸೈಡ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಈ ಥರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಸೈಡ್ ಈಗ ಕಾಣಿಸುತ್ತೆ, ಮೇಲಿಂದ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಶೇಪಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣಿಸಲ್ಲ. ಇನ್ಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ದೇ ಲುಕ್ ವೆರಿ ಕೂಲ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಇಂಟರ್ಕನೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಥ್ರೂ ದ ಸೈಟೋಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಮಿಕ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ಸೊ ಲೆಟ್ ಮಿ ರೈಟ್ ದಟ್ ಇಂಟರ್ಕನೆಕ್ಷನ್. Let me write the interconnection like this. They are interconnected. So they are interconnected like this. They are also interconnected. Each and every cell is get interconnected. They are interconnected through this cytoplasmic strand, and the number of these cells present in this colony is different, and by counting them scientists are able to identify to the species name. So itra cells eshtirutte adana count ಮಾಡಿ species name na ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, and they have the flagella like this. From the side we can see the flagella, but here flagella were there, we cannot see them in one direction. Okay, so like this they have flagella. Okay, so each and every cells has their own nucleus. So many of these chlamydomonas like structures, they are together forms a colony. So this is a colony. Okay, so this colony of valvax, okay, is called as a cenobium. Colony of valvax is called as cenobium. ಇದನ್ನು cenobium ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. And during sexual reproduction, so it is example for anisogamous. So in sexual reproduction, it is anisogamous. It is anisogamous. Okay, so female larger and male smaller. Female larger and male smaller and motile. Okay. So one of the interesting thing about this Valvax is, so here one of the cell is differentiated into male structure, one of the cell is differentiated to female structure, the fusion takes place and the zygote is going to form, and the daughter colonies the daughter colonies are released into the colony itself. Okay, so here one of the cell is differentiated to male and one of the cell is get differentiated into female. Gametes are going to fuse and daughter colonies are formed, and the daughter colonies, they are present inside the parent colony. So ಈ parent colony ಜೊತೆನಲ್ಲೇ ಈ daughter colonies ಕೂಡ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Okay, so actually cells ಒಳಗಡೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. So they are present inside. Okay, so ಈ ರೀತಿ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, and these are daughter colonies. So this is daughter colony. This one is also daughter colony. This is flagella. So this is cytoplasmic connection. So cytoplasm ಎಲ್ಲದು ಕಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. Okay, ಒಂದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಈ ರೀತಿ. So this is the reason why it rolls like this. So water ಈ ಥರ ರೋಲ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. That is the reason why it is called as rolling algae. Okay, yeah. So ಇದು ಕಾಮನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಟರ್ ಬಾಡೀಸಲ್ಲಿ, ಫ್ರೆಶ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಬಾಡೀಸಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣಕ್ಕೆ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಇದು. So it is okay, we can see some videos later. Okay, so ಈ ರೀತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. So let's see some photographs of different types of algae. ಸೊ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಕ್ಲೋರೋಫೈಸಿ ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ದರ್ ಯೂನಿಸೆಲ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆಲ್ಗೆ ಹೇಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ನೋಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಒಂದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ನೋಡೋಣ. This example for fresh water green algae grows on the surface of water and turns the water into green. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾಚಿ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಪಾಚಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬೆಳ್ಕೋತಾ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ವಾಟರ್ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. And you can find this green algae which is present on the stones. So these are the green algae. The stones are turned into green because of the green algae. So this is how it attaches to the stone. So in the water rich with the nutrients, this algae starts grow abundantly. That is called algal bloom. So here is an example for that algal bloom. Standing fresh water, you can see the green algae. So here is the green algae. This is green algae. You can see the green algae.
Some live actually inside the rock. This thin green line is made by algae, microscopic plants. They're so small they can live actually between the grains of this sandstone. And there at least they're out of this desiccating wind. The open water of the deep ocean is the domain of the simplest plants of all, the microscopic single-celled algae. These, perhaps the least considered by humanity of all plants, have the four essentials of life in abundance. The water around them never drops more than a degree or so below freezing. They're always within reach of sunlight. and they're constantly provided with nutrients as currents bring up rich ooze on an immense scale. And they've colonized not only salt water, but fresh. These simple plants are the basis of all life in water, just as higher plants are the basis of all life on land. 2/3 of the surface of this planet is covered by water, and most of it is beyond the reach of flowering plants. So floating algae in the seas and the lakes play a greater part in enriching our atmosphere with oxygen than all the land-based plants put together.
Let's take some examples of these chlorophyll members with respect to reproduction. Again, I am repeating it. So already discussed in generally, but in chlorophyll members specifically, let's discuss. So especially with sexual reproduction. In sexual reproduction, so first one is Chlamydomonas. Chlamydomonas is example for isogamous, motile, isogamous and motile. Spirogyra, it is also isogamous, non-motile. Volvox, anisogamous, or it is like oogamous. Then let me take one more example. There is a plant called Cara. So this Cara is look like this. It is a filament, and the small branches are formed like this. The plant is almost look like this. Cara ಅನ್ನೋ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ನೋಡೋಕೆ ಈ ಥರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಂದರೆ ಮೇನ್ ಆಕ್ಸಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಆಕ್ಸಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಬ್ರಾಂಚಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Okay, so on the branches it produces a female reproductive structure. It look like this, and male reproductive it is globular like. So in the second year we are going to study that structure. So Cara, so it is also example for an isogamous, in that it is oogamous. Okay, yeah. So Chlamydomonas isogamous, Spirogyra isogamous, Volvox is an isogamous, Cara is also anisogamous. So here one more thing about the Chlamydomonas. So Chlamydomonas for asexual reproduction, Chlamydomonas produces zoospores. In asexual reproduction. So many asexual producing structures are produced, and these structures are produced in a structure. ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗ್ತವೆ. ದಟ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ zoosporangia. So this is zoosporangia. So it get ruptured and releases the individual Chlamydomonas again. So iti Chlamydomonas ಹೊರಗೆ ಬರ್ತವೆ. Okay, that is zoosporangia. And you should remember one more thing with respect to the chlorophyll. In chlorophyll member, gametes. So gametes are almost like this, and they have equal flagella. Okay, gametes have equal flagella. So usually 2 or 4 flagella irutte, 2 or 4 flagella, and they are equal in length. Okay, equal length irutte. So that is one more thing you have to remember. Okay, so far it completes the chlorophyceae members. Then move on to the next class. Okay, so the next class is Phaeophyceae. So Phaeophyceae, commonly called as brown algae, because of the pigment present there. Okay. Okay, so let us study one more class under the algae, that is Phaeophyceae. So this Phaeophyceae are commonly called as brown algae. The pigment present in Phaeophyceae members, so pigments are chlorophyll A and chlorophyll. So in case of chlorophyceae members, you studied chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. They have chlorophyll A is common, so chlorophyll C. So chlorophyll C. So along with this, they also have carotenoids and xanthin, like higher plants. Okay, so xanthophyll. And the type of xanthophyll present here, it is phycoxanthin. Okay, so depending on the amount of these pigments present, the color vary from olive green to brown. Okay, so ಇದು ಆಲಿವ್ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, whereas chlorophyceae members, they are grass green, grass color ಹೆಂಗೆ ಡಾರ್ಕ್ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೋ ಆ ಥರ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲಿವ್ ಗ್ರೀನ್. ಸೊ ಆಲಿವ್ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಬ್ರೌನಿಶ್ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಅಂತ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಅರ್ಥ ಹೇಳೋದಾದ್ರೆ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬ್ರೌನ್ ಟಿಂಜ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಬಟ್ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಕಲರ್. ಓಕೆ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲಿವ್ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಟು brown. So when it looks more brown, it has this phycoxanthin. Higher amount of this phycoxanthin gives this algae brown color. Okay, so illelirutte the habitat. So habitat mostly they are marine. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಸಾಲ್ಟ್ ವಾಟರ್ನಲ್ಲೇ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಈ ಬ್ರೌನ್ ಆಲ್ಗೆ. ಓಕೆ, ವೆರಿ ಫ್ಯೂ ಆರ್ ಫ್ರೆಶ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಆರ್ ಫ್ಯೂ ಫ್ರೆಶ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ಸ್. ಕೆಲವು ಮಾತ್ರ ಫ್ರೆಶ್ ವಾಟರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತವೆ. ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಫೌಂಡ್ ಇನ್ ಮೆರೈನ್ ವಾಟರ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ಹೌ ದೇ look with respect to color and where do you find them. And we'll come to the structure. ಹೇಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಇದರದ್ದು ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ಸು? ಅಫ್ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಇದರಲ್ಲಾದರೆ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಆಲ್ಗೆನಲ್ಲಾದರೆ ಯೂನಿಸೆಲ್ಯುಲಾರ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಕ್ಲಮೆಟಮೊನಾಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಫಿಲಮೆಂಟಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಕಾಲೋನಿಯಲ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಓದಿದ್ವಿ. ಸೊ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬೇರೆ ಥರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ನೋಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಟ್ ಥರ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ಸ್, ಹೈಯರ್ ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಥರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ filamentous ಇರುತ್ತೆ and branched. Filamentous and less branched rather. Okay, so filamentous with less branched. Okay, and few more are there, or they may be filamentous and highly branched. Okay, or plant like frond and branched. ನೋಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಥರ ಫ್ರಾಂಡ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಲೀಫ್ ಅಂತೇಳಿ, ಫ್ರಾಂಡ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಲೀಫ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತು ಬ್ರಾಂಚ್ಡ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಫಿಲಮೆಂಟಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಲೆಸ್ ಬ್ರಾಂಚ್ಡಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ತಗೋಬೋದು. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ectocarpus. Okay, so ectocarpus is example filamentous and less branched. Filamentous ಥರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ and highly branched. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ we can take the example of dictyota and ಇದಕ್ಕೆ we can take the example of laminaria and fucus. ಸೊ ಇದನ್ನ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ತಗೋಬೋದು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಎಕ್ಟೋಕಾರ್ಪಸ್ ಫಿಲಮೆಂಟಸ್, ಲಾಂಗ್ ಫಿಲಮೆಂಟಸ್ ಆರ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಫಿಲಮೆಂಟಸ್ ಆರ್ ಫ್ರಾಂಡ್, ಎರಡು ಥರನೂ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಫಿಲಮೆಂಟಸ್ ಥರನೂ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ ಅಥವಾ ಫ್ರಾಂಡ್ ಥರ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅಗಲ ಇರೋ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಫಿಲಮೆಂಟಸ್ ಆರ್ ಫ್ರಾಂಡ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಹೈಲಿ ಬ್ರಾಂಚ್ಡ್, ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಲಾರ್ಜ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಬ್ರಾಂಚ್ಡ್. ಓಕೆ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಲಾರ್ಜ್ ಕೆಲ್ಪ್ಸ್, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಫಾರ್ಮು ಲಾರ್ಜ್ ಕೆಲ್ಪ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಸಖತ್ತು ಮ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಮ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್. ಸೊ ಮ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಗ್ರೋಸ್ ಅಪ್ ಟು 100 meters. 100 meters ತನಕ ಗ್ರೋ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಒಂದು ಮ್ಯಾಸಿವ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಇದು. ಸೊ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ರೋಸಿಸ್ಟಸ್, ಕೆಲ್ಪ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕಾಮನ್ ಕರೀತಾರೆ, ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ರೋಸಿಸ್ಟಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಸರ್ಗ್ಯಾಸಮ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಈ ಥರ ಹೈಲಿ ಬ್ರಾಂಚೆಡ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಲಿಟಲ್ ಬಿಟ್ ಲೇಟರ್ ವಿತ್ ದ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಡಯಾಗ್ರಾಮ್. ಸೊ ಬಟ್ ಲೆಟ್ ಮೀ explain the cell type and how it is, then I will go for the diagram. So cell wall is made up of, as usual in the plant kingdom, the unique character presence of cellulose, cell surrounded by the filament, whole filament is surrounded by algin. Okay, so algin is a hydrocolloidal substance. It is hydrocolloidal substance. Okay. Yeah, so this is about the simple cell structure. And a reserve food, that is important. A reserve food is complex carbohydrates. Okay, complex carbohydrates like mannitol, and laminarin. So these are the reserve food material. And in case of chlorophysi members, the reserve food is a starch. Okay, starch irutte, but starch ginta complicated structure called as a mannitol and laminarin. Okay, cell consisting of consists of large vacuole. ಸೊ ಸೆಲ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಓದಿರ್ತೀರ ನೀವು. ಸೊ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ ಒಳಗಡೆ ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯಸ್ ಆದಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಖಾಲಿ ಜಾಗ ಥರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ವಿಚ್ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ದ unwanted substance there called as a vacuole. ಆ ರೀತಿ large vacuole is present within the cell. Okay, so this is about the cell structure. So we study these forms with respect to diagrams. We can study how they are. So let me take one example. So So as I told, most of the time they look like plant like. ಸೊ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಲೀಫ್ ಥರ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಎಟ್ ದ ಬೇಸ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ದ ರೂಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಲೈಕ್ ದಿಸ್. ಸೊ ಈ ರೀತಿ ರೂಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಒಂದು ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಟ್ ಥರನೇ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್, ನೋಡೋಕೆ ಒಂಥರ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಪ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಟ್ ಥರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಿ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಸಮ್ ರಿಸೆಂಬಲ್ಸ್ ರೂಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್, ಸ್ಟೆಮ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಅ ಲೀಫ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್. ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ವಿಚ್ ರಿಸೆಂಬಲ್ಸ್ ರೂಟ್, okay, which will act like a root, will firmly fix it to the substratum. So marine water ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಯಿಲ್ಗೆ ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ರಾಕ್ ಮೇಲೆಲ್ಲ ಗಟ್ಟಿಯಾಗಿ ಅಂಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೂತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ದಿಸ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್. ಅದನ್ನು ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಇಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಎ ರೂಟ್. ಓಕೆ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ಲಾಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟಾಕ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್, ಓಕೆ, ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ stipe. Stalk like structure called stipe, and a large leaf like structure called as frond. ಇದನ್ನ frond ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. So here few of us have a root like structure called hold fast, that fixes to soil or rock. Okay, so fix ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. Then stem like structure called stipe, okay, and large leaf like branched or unbranched structure called frond. Okay, so explain the structure of a thallus anta andre of structure of Phaeophyce members. Andre Phaeophyce have the root like structure called holdfast that fixed to the substratum like a soil or a rock, which acts like a root, and a long stem like structure. That stem like structure is called as the stipe, and a large leaf like structure is called as frond. Okay, in some species they can grow up to 100 meters. Okay, so water body ನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಗ್ರೋ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ದೆನ್ ದೇ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಅ ಲಾಂಗ್ ಸ್ಟೈಪ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫ್ರಾಂಡ್. ಸೊ ಅದಾದಮೇಲೆ ಈ ಥರ ಫ್ರಾಂಡನ್ನು ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತವೆ. ಸೊ ಈ ಫ್ರಾಂಡು ಇಷ್ಟು ಉದ್ದ ಬೆಳೆಯುತ್ತೆ. ಟೋಟಲ್ ಲೆಂತನ್ನು ನೀವು ತೊಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಗ್ರೋಸ್ ಅಪ್ ಟು 100 ಮೀಟರ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಇದು ಹೇಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಲೆಟ್ ವಾಚ್ ಒನ್ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ರಿಗಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ದ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟೈಪ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಫ್ರಾಂಡ್.
Rocky coasts present plants with yet other problems. The rocks are firm enough, the perils come from the pounding waves and the surging currents. No flowering plant has evolved a solution to the difficulties of living here, but algae have. They have the simplest structure of all plants, They've never developed rigid stems, but in the sea, the water itself provides support. Their holdfasts grip the rock so firmly that if the current does rip them up, it's likely to be the rock that breaks, not the plant. They have long cable-like stems that are rubbery and flexible, but immensely strong. The great blades in which they manufacture their food are kept near the sunlight by huge gas-filled floats. Such algae can reach immense lengths. They can grow in waters almost 100 feet deep, but because they stream out in the current, their total length can be several times that. One species has fronds that measure over 300 feet, about as long as the tallest of land-living trees. These thickets can, with justice, be regarded as the marine equivalent of the terrestrial forests. Farther out to sea, the water becomes so deep that even these giant algae can't maintain a hold on the sea floor and still reach the light.
Okay, so in the video you learned how it is massive it is. ದೊಡ್ಡದಾಗಿ ಬೆಳೆದಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ನೋಡಿದ್ರಿ. So this diagram what I wrote here, it is laminaria. So this is laminaria. So just before I wrote one reserve food material is called as a laminarin. Okay, so that laminarin is isolated from this laminaria. For the first time they kept the name laminarin. So later same kind of substance is isolated from others also. So the laminaria they isolated laminarin. Okay, so this is one laminaria ಆಯಿತು. ಸೊ ಇದೇ ಥರ ಇದು ನೋಡಿ, ದ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಇಸ್ ಲಿಟಲ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಅನ್ಬ್ರಾಂಚ್ಡ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಬಟ್ ವಿಡಿಯೋದಲ್ಲಿ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ರೋಸಿಸ್ಟಸ್ನ ನೋಡಿದ್ರಿ, ಬಟ್ ಇದು ಲ್ಯಾಮಿನೇರಿಯಾ. ಸೊ ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಸಿ ಸಮ್ ಬ್ರಾಂಚ್ಡ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ಸ್ ಆಸ್ ವೆಲ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಬ್ರಾಂಚ್ ಇರುವಂಥ ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸನ್ನು ನೋಡೋಣ. And some forms they have the frond provided with the air bladders for floating. ಸೊ ಏರ್ ಬ್ಲಾಡರ್ ಇರುವಂಥ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ಸ್ಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಏರ್ ಬ್ಲಾಡರ್, ವಿತ್ ದ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಏರ್ ಬ್ಲಾಡರ್ ದೇ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಈಸಿಲಿ ಫ್ಲೋ ಇನ್ ದ ವಾಟರ್ಲಿ ತೇಲೋಕ್ಕೆ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಲೆಟ್ ಡ್ರಾ ಸಮ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್. ಸೊ ಆಸ್ ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಎ ಸ್ಟೈಪ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್. ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ದೆನ್ ದೇ produces the branches. So ಈ ಥರ branches ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Okay, so they produces the branches like this, and they have the structure like this. And they also provided with some air bladders. So ಎಲ್ಲ ಈ ಥರ ಏರ್ ಬ್ಲಾಡರ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Okay, so they have air bladders. So this is frond, this is hold fast, stipe, this is frond, and this is air bladder. Okay, so this is a small example, and the structure is fucus. So this is example is fucus. Okay, so let me see one more example, that is dictyota. There is one more example called dictyota. So this dictyota also has hold fast and a small stipe and a highly branched structure. a highly branched structure they have. Okay, so like this highly branched structure, this is dictyota. Okay, so dictyota and the fucus. So it is a branched frond. Highly branched frond. Okay. So ಈ ರೀತಿ highly branched frond ಇರುತ್ತೆ as in case of dictyota. So this is how they look like, and this is hold fast and stipe. Okay, so these are the different forms of these PFIC members. So they look brown in color if more phycoxanthin is present. So that forms the brown algae. Sometimes they look olive green in color. So as in the video you saw some are like olive green color. So that olive green color is due to the less amount of that phycoxanthin and a more amount of chlorophyll A and B. So like this they forms the different color, different shape, and they are more like a plants. Nodakonthara plants tarane irutte jasti. Okay. So this is about the structure of PFIC members. Then come to the reproduction, how they reproduce. So in the beginning, in the general character only, we discussed how they reproduce. So reproduction. They reproduce by vegetative method. By vegetative method, asexual method, and sexual method. So in vegetative method, they reproduce by fragmentation. So it is the most common type of vegetative method where the whole plant body like filament or the fronds like structure, they are going to break into small pieces. Each piece can grow into individual one like. Okay. Then asexual method by producing spores, with two unequal flagella. So by producing two unequal flagella, and spores are pear-shaped ಇರುತ್ತೆ, and flagella are attached to lateral side. So lateral side ಗೆ flagella attach ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. So by producing the spores with the two unequal flagella, okay, let me write it as a first point. And pear-shaped spores are pear-shaped and flagella are attached to lateral side. So let me write the structure, how it will look like. So these spores are almost pear-shaped irutte. So they are pear-shaped. Okay, so pear-shaped, and two unequal flagella attached to lateral side. Okay, so this is the lateral side. So from here one large flagella and one small flagella. Okay, so this flagella is called as anterior flagella, and this is posterior flagella. And here this anterior is very long and posterior is small. Okay, and the same kind of gametes are also produced during sexual reproduction. Okay, so let me keep as it is the diagram. Here come to sexual method. So sexual method is oogamous. So sexual method is oogamous. So oogamous means and the fusion of gametes maybe takes place outside the body, that means in the water also or inside the oogam. Okay, so oospirallu agutte. So oogamous, larger, non-motile female gamete and smaller motile male gamete. Okay, so here also gametes are pear shaped. Gametes are pear shaped with unequal lateral flagella. Unequal irutte matte lateral flagella similar to this. Okay, so idralli one more thing we need to tell about the flagella. So here sometimes the flagella shows the structure like this. So it is feathery like structure irutte. Okay, so this feathery like flagella idre adana tensile antare. So ee riti idre tensile flagella. So tensile andre feathery tara. Okay, so ಇದು ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಫ್ಲಾಜೆಲ್ಲ ಇದ್ರೆ, ಸೊ ರೀತಿ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ರೀತಿನಲ್ಲಿದ್ದರೆ ವಿಪ್ಲಾಶ್ ಅಂತಾರೆ. ವಿಪ್ಲಾಶ್ flagella. So during sexual reproduction also the male gamete having a tensile flagella and whiplash flagella attached laterally. That is an important character. In case of chlorophyce, flagella are attached to the tip. Tippige attach ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. Okay, but not lateral and equal flagella, but here it is unequal flagella. Okay, yeah, that's it. So sexual method alli in the beginning itself we discussed oogamous type ige fucus. You can take the example of fucus, dictyota. Okay, and even laminaria. These are the examples. Okay, yeah, so this is about the phaeophyce members. And these phaeophyce members, many of these phaeophyce members are used as food. Okay, so many species are used as a food, including the sargassum. There is a plant called sargassum, and it is a good source of iodine. ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ ಫಂಗೈದು, ಸಾರಿ ಆಲ್ಗೆದು. ಸೊ ಫುಡ್ಡಾಗಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಮೆನಿ ವರ್ edible. Okay, source of algin. So algin isolate ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ and including iodine, source of iodine. ಸೊ ಈ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಪೂರ್ತಿ ಡ್ರೈ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆ್ಯಶ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆ್ಯಶ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದರಿಂದ ಐಸೋಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಯೋಡಿನ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅಕ್ಯುಮುಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಅಯೋಡಿನ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಸಾಲ್ಟಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಏನು ಅಯೋಡಿನ್ ಆ್ಯಡ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ ದಟ್ ಮೇ ಬಿ ಐಸೋಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿಸ್ ಆಲ್ಗಾ ಇಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದ phaeophyce members. Okay.